So last time we talked about multipliers. And if you need a refresher, you can go ahead and click and check out that past video. But make sure you come back. Come right back though. Don't diminish me. Make sure you click like and subscribe if you like the content on this channel. Today, we're going to talk about times when we accidentally diminish others. If you know me, you know I'm a huge advocate of empowering people and lifting people up. Today, when we're going to be talking about accidental diminishers, it's when our heads and our hearts are in the right place, but we just don't execute the way we want to, and we actually end up making people perform worse or feel diminished, even though our hearts is in the right place. I think we've all been there before. You know, you try to challenge your team members, you try to lift them up, you try to encourage debate, and things aren't progressing as quickly as you want to, so you start participating too much. It's a really tough thing to stay disciplined to those multiplier actions, but I can tell you that if you can stay consistent and stay patient, it'll really pay off. But trust me, it's hard. It's easier said than done. So here we go with the numbers. There's 6 types of accidental diminishers, and we're going to go through each one. Accidental diminisher number 1, the idea guy or gal. This is a major flaw I see in myself as a leader. That idea person tries to stimulate ideas and gets the room going and starts brainstorming so much that they just start putting their ideas out there. Sound familiar? This is what I'm terrible at. I want so many different ideas and I want everybody to participate and get all their juices flowing that I just start throwing a ton of stuff out there, and then I give my opinions and my thoughts and all these things, and it actually makes things worse because people start to actually shut down themselves and they stop participating and they start just letting me go. And what it does is it starts to make people think that since I'm the director, I'm actually directing. And really what I'm doing is I'm just brainstorming. I'm trying to participate in it all, but when you have a bunch of people in the room and, I'm the director and I'm just getting excited and throwing ideas out there, they start to think that's direction. It's not. It's really just me trying to stimulate thought and get others' ideas out there. But then, like I said, they start to take this as direction. Like, this is what I think we should do. And they just start going, I've learned over the years that I need to really be explicit about, hey, I'm just giving my opinion. I'm just participating, and I'm not directing. And so people would take an opinion of mine, and then the next week they're out there doing it. I'm like, well, we were just throwing out ideas. So I have to be explicit, and this is where I think I'm really bad and I can improve, is because I'm the idea person and I keep throwing them out there, and now everyone starts doing it, and yeah. So a way I've learned to kind of combat this is entice debate. Ask the hard questions and challenge, and don't give answers, but always lead with questions. So if you are the idea person like I am, lead that way. Lead through questions, ask the hard questions, lead through debate, and don't be quick to give answers. Accidental diminisher number 2, the rapid responder. So the idea person is a way I've accidentally diminished. The rapid responder is a way I've actually been accidentally diminished. So the rapid responder is someone who really likes to keep the pace of the org going and be nimble and fast. But in doing that, that rapid responder is always on and is always responding to emails or questions and things like that, even before the person who is best to answer has the chance to jump in. So example is, I'd be on these emails and I wouldn't even have time to read them because it'd be late at night. And then people would be responding when I should be responding, and I didn't even have an opportunity. So it's important to be mindful of when you're doing this to your team that you prefer speed over thoughtfulness and articulation, because some folks actually need time to be articulate and think about what they're going to write, and they want to put more thought into it. Even though you could be someone who just likes to speed and pace and respond quickly, you're not giving them a chance to articulate their ideas, give their perspective, and respond, even though they're the ones responsible. So you actually make them feel diminished, because then they start to question, oh, is this person always going to just jump in? Like, what value do I add then? So, the org starts to get unhealthy because if there's a rapid responder in the group, people start to just sit on the sidelines and just assume that person's going to respond. So, as a leader, I would suggest that you make sure you give space to your team, and I'll tell everyone else on your team to give space to the people that are responsible and that should be answering. Give at least 24 hours before you jump in there. So just make sure you make that space. So a way to combat this is much like you would combat the idea person, is ask questions, elicit debate, those kinds of things. And then also, like I said, wait at least 24 hours before even thinking about responding something that you are not responsible for. You aren't responsible. And by making sure you elicit debate and ask questions, you know that your team is being more thoughtful and not making any rash decisions. Accidental diminisher number 3, always on. This is one that it's hard to balance, and I get guilty of too. It's that leader that's always on message and always trying to be inspirational and always trying to lift up the team. It's good to have that, but someone who's always doing that 24/7, the team starts to actually lose the message and start to tune out that leader. They start to tune out because, it seems like this leader is taking up all the airspace. They're constantly giving the perspective, constantly like the rah-rah. Rah-rah is good, but if that's all there is and then just you just giving your opinion, it gets old, right? So when you take all the airspace, be mindful of that, because then people are going to just also move to the sidelines and just not listen anymore. And when that happens, I'm guilty of it. I even have a term, it's called when you Grandpa Simpson, because Grandpa Simpson is there in the corner, in the good old days, like this, telling the same story over and over again, right? And if you've experienced that same thing at work, hear the same message over and over again, it starts to lose its value and you start to tune it out. So remember, the way to deliver your message is to keep your message simple and deliver your message simply. Don't let excitement and adrenaline make you over-explain or repeat yourself. Just be clear and thoughtful and deliver the message. Yeah, it's tough when you continuously repeat. Whoa. What just happened? One good strategy to combat this is, say, you give yourself like poker chips, right? And for every meeting you get 3 poker chips. And you can give them different values. One is 30 seconds, one is a minute, and one is 90 seconds. And you can only play those 3 chips during a meeting. So that helps you not, one, over participate, and then not over inject and go on and on and on, because you're time boxing yourself to either 30, 60, or 90, and you're only going to be giving your opinion 3 times. That really leaves space for other people to give their opinions, and then it allows for other people to deliver the messages that need to be delivered. There's another tactic that can use is when you're voting and you have when you've elicited debate, give the team 60% vote and yourself 40% vote. So then it doesn't seem like you're just overriding everything. But in doing that, you also have to give them 100% of the accountability, so they know that they own the decision, but then it's also up to them to make sure they deliver, and then the project or whatever it is successful. Accidental diminisher. Accidental diminisher number 4. The pace setter. This leader is trying to set a high bar and keep the pace of the group fast. So, you want to be quick, you want to be nimble. And in doing that, this leader keeps moving, and then it's almost like the accidental diminishers. People just start to sit on the sideline because they can't keep up. This is when, the advice I give people is like, it's great to be nimble, it's great to be quick, biased action and things like that. But if you're not taking everybody along for the ride, and you start having people jump off your boat, it doesn't matter if you get to the finish line, because you get to the finish line by yourself. And that's not helpful. For me, over the last year, I've really had to learn to slow things down. I'm bias action. Like, I like to get things done quickly. I don't like to meander, and I like to make sure that everything gets done fast. But in doing that, in an org that's growing, I've led teams that are the size of 5 to 10 to 160. As your teams get larger, the more intentional you have to be about slowing down. Because if you think about, a whip or like a rope, if you sway the rope in the front, and you're making these nice, quick, nimble movements, look at what's doing it to the folks on the end. They get whipped around and they can't even keep up. They have no idea what's going on, and that's how you cause swirl. So you want to make sure that you're bringing everybody along for the ride with you. It may take time, but if you take that 80 to 90% more time to get there, you're probably going to reduce that 80 to 90% of swirl that you're going to get if you don't take that time. And look, I learned a lot in doing this, and it's not like that I didn't care about the people, because it's quite opposite. I care so deeply about the orgs that I lead, but it's just being more mindful. I would think I'd be making the right decisions. I want to get the decision quickly, but in that, the ripple effect, my team compares me to a speedboat. Like, I'm leading the way and I'm clearing the road, but or clearing the road, the lake, whatever. But that's a bad metaphor for me, because then it seems like I'm just leaving everybody in my wake. So I want to make sure if I'm actually leading this thing, people are coming along with me and they're not just like getting caught in all the waves. So a way to combat this is actually to get more people involved. And so what I'm not saying is decisions by democracy now. That's different. What I am saying is getting a coalition together, getting a few people together who can help you poke holes and give you feedback and refine the message and actually help you get buy-in and identify some of the watch-outs, right? So if you can get some of the people, maybe the biggest dissenters or things like that, if you get all those folks in a room, call it 5 to 6 people, and you have meaningful conversations about like what went into decision making, you actually talk through some of the debate, and they start to buy in, then your message is more solid and it'd be much easier to deliver to the rest of the org. Accidental diminisher number 5, the rescuer. Wasn't that a Disney show? This is another one I'm guilty of. This is when the leader wants to make sure that everybody enjoys success and feels that they're valued and their contributions are recognized in the company. Where this falls down, though, is then the team starts to rely on that leader to make sure that they're being the advocate and being the one that does a lot of the speaking and that kind of stuff. But this can create an environment where the team relies on the leader to swoop in and rescue them whenever things get rough, and they can't fend for themselves, right? Because the leader always does this for them. And what this does, it actually damages the reputation of the group, because then all of the partners always rely on the leader to come in and fix everything. And then people feel like they can't rely on the rest of the team because the leader has to always fix everything. So don't be that overprotective leader where you always have to swoop in. And don't get me wrong, don't it's not every person for themselves, but you need to know when you can leave your team and let them make mistakes where they need to, but then recover on their own, so then they start to build trust with their partners. So there's a couple ways to combat this. One is it's not your job to always come in and fix things, but remember, it's an old adage, if you bring me one problem, bring me 2 solutions too. So that is one way to combat it. And also, like I mentioned in the last video, and I'll mention again here, and I did earlier too, is make sure you make space for them to make mistakes. Maybe when you're leading, give them more space on the smaller projects so they can learn to make mistakes and recover. And then so on those bigger projects, maybe then you can help, but then they'll actually leverage that experience on the smaller projects and figure out how to handle some of those gotchas on the bigger projects. And if you give that space and you give them the room and they bring those solutions and things like that, you're actually helping them with that rapid recovery and rapid learning cycle. And you're just going to be stronger later. Whether they become leaders in your org or not, you actually developing them and letting them grow. And last but not least, accidental diminisher number 6, the optimist. I love this and hate this because, you know, I have to admit it's like me again. In putting true faith into your team and believing that they can do anything, you know, that's the optimist. Like, I truly am that. Like, I really think my team can do anything. But when you do that and you deliver that message, like, yeah, the team could do anything, it also makes them wonder, like, you know, if you're telling us we can do anything, do you actually realize how hard our jobs actually are? So, you know, you have to be careful about like being the rah-rah cheerleader person and saying like, yeah, we can do it, we can do it, we can do it. Because if it's taking them so much work and they're having a hard time doing what they're doing now, by you saying, yeah, we can do it, we can do it, we can do it, it doesn't actually help. It actually makes it worse because they may think you may not be respectful of how much effort it's taking them to do what they're doing now. So this one is one that's really, really tough. Yeah, I mean, it's hard because like I truly believe in where I'm at and where I've been. Like, I've worked with some of the most amazing and smartest people in the industry, and they're really like some of the best people that do what they do. And I really, in my heart of hearts, believe that like these teams can do so much. But I do have to remember that like they are already doing so much. So for me to be, it sounds like insensitive and unthoughtful and unappreciative that I'm just saying, yeah, we can do more. So I do need to be better at that. And I'm asking you all to not fall into that same trap that I've fallen into at times. I don't do it all the time, at times. But in all that encouragement, I also do recognize like, hey, look, team, like we could fail at this. We may not be successful. I know we're going to do our best because we don't believe in failure, but it's a possibility. So even just acknowledging that like, hey, we can try this and we can fail, that puts people at ease because they understand that like, yes, this stuff that we're doing is hard. It's not easy. And we could fail. So that brings it more into reality for everyone. And it also makes that message more authentic. And that's who I am. I'm always going to be authentic. I won't be anything that I'm not. So, you know, I really care about my team. I really care about folks. So it's really coming from a good place, but I do have to be authentic and understanding and empathetic to the way they work and everything that they do. So another way I try to combat this, right, is admitting my own mistakes. And I do make a lot. I make a lot of mistakes, but I'm open with them, and then I'm vulnerable like that with my team. Because, you know, if I can admit my mistakes, that leaves room for them to make mistakes and also to admit their mistakes. And it makes the group better because, you know, you don't, like we talked about in other videos, if you don't make room for mistakes, people don't take big risks. And if you don't take big risks, you don't make progress. So I want a team that can lean into risk. So by admitting my mistakes, it makes it okay for them to make mistakes as long as they learn. Wow, I think this video just turned into a venting, confession, vulnerability session for me, realizing a lot about my own leadership. So that's it. We made it through all 6. Hopefully you've gotten something on this video. If you did, again, click like, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, I mean, it gives you a little bit of context, and I don't think anyone means to be an accidental diminisher or diminisher in general, but you know, all these things come from a good place, but when they're not well executed or they're not as thoughtful as we want them to be, it can actually have negative effects on your organization. And I know I learned a lot from these concepts, and even just from making this video, right? It's not like I haven't admitted this stuff before, but you know, it's always more eye-opening, or I guess more closer to home every time I admit these things. So again, hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you do, at your discretion. You don't have to. You can actually unlike this if you don't like it. But I will see you next time.